So it's been a while. It's now February. We have to backtrack to October because my brother, my mom, and I went to Asia. It was just going to be a Vietnam trip, but my brother thought it'd be a good opportunity to go to Singapore and Japan as well. We arrived in Vietnam at night, and all of our aunts and uncles came to greet us. And the next morning we just had breakfast, and my mom and we went to go get measured for new LEIs. Insert picture here. The next day we were off to Singapore. When we got to the airport, we thought we were going to explore the waterfall and the butterfly garden or whatever, but we figured we could just do that when we were heading back. When we finally figured out where to get the transportation card, we exchanged money and then decided to get this Singapore travel pass. The Tourist Pass Plus allows you 3 days of unlimited travel on the metro, the bus. You could also use it as a money card to top up and add more money if you still needed to go places. This also gives you access to attractions. They have a bunch of things, but you're allowed to choose 3. I'll tell you about that later. Once we got all of that figured out, we headed to our hotel in Little India. And the hotel was not bad. It was cute. But when we got there, they couldn't find our reservation for some reason. It took an hour for them to finally figure out what was going on, and then we got the key to our room, dropped our stuff off, and went to have lunch. That first meal in Singapore was super satisfying. I finally had Hainanese chicken, and I probably had some version of it before. In Vietnamese, it's cơm gà Hải Nam, but it's not the same. You know, that chicken was so soft and tender, and like the sesame oil flavors in the vegetables of the chicken, and then the broth, and then the rice. It was really good. After we had our bellies full, we went ahead and walked around because they have a lot of shopping plazas there. And in the plazas, there's also a bunch of food courts. Since it was so hot and humid, we decided to go to the McDonald's that had Thai tea ice cream. And oh my gosh, first of all, in the US, the ice cream machine, it's always broken. And second of all, it's just basic flavors. You don't got Thai tea. Step up your game. After that, we just looked around comparing the different prices of regular brands, and it was interesting to see the comparisons because some things are really expensive, but then all the food, I think each meal per person was maybe 5 to 6 Singapore dollars, and that's like $4 US. What's not to love? After we finished exploring, we headed back to the hotel and went to sleep pretty early because traveling back to back like that is exhausting, and that wasn't even the worst of it. Little did Rose know. Since we slept really early, we woke up pretty early as well. We went to get wonton noodles nearby and also steamed buns. As you already know, I love plants, and the brother that loves plants more than I love plants is this one. So we went to the Botanic Gardens, and the Botanic Gardens was so spacious. It took hours just to walk through the free area, and I saw so many cool things. Monitor lizards, not Komodo dragons. I don't know why I thought it was a Komodo dragon. They're kind of similar. This is coming from the person that interned at the San Diego Zoo. Whoops. Oh, and while we were going through the Botanic Gardens, I saw a street sign that said Cheersall Road, and I was like, Nick Young, are you there? He wasn't. That's okay. After that, we went to the Orchid Garden. And the Orchid Garden, you did have to pay a fee. I forget how much it was, but I did have my student ID, so it was a little cheaper. I've never seen so many varieties of orchids in my entire life, just all in one place. It was gorgeous, really. We spent another few hours there, but it was so freaking hot. That's another thing I appreciate about Singapore. Because it's so hot and humid, they have like high quality vending machines. You can get coffee, tea, an assortment of aloe drinks. It's not just soda. We love that. It's not just soda. Thank you. We had a late lunch at the Broadway Center, which was a food court which was underneath an electronics shopping mall. We eventually kept coming back to that same place because it was so close to our hotel and there was so many options. The first day, that lunch, I had tandoori chicken and naan. My goodness. It was fantastic. I freaking love food. I think my brother got some soup thing, but I'm pretty sure between the both of us we tried almost everything. So we went back to the hotel, took a nap, and then finally decided to do one of the touristy thingies with our pass. And we decided to do a night tour because no way in heck we were gonna do a walking tour during the day. And we went to see Marina Bay Sands and the Super Trees, which had a light show. And she guided us to another laser show thing. It was cool and all, and we wouldn't have known about those things without that tour guide, and she did give us some like interesting tidbits. But she walked so fast. It was so hard to sightsee and like really enjoy when she was walking super fast. And one of the last things that was part of the tour was a river cruise, which went around the river, passing by Marina Bay Sands and the Merlion. It was really, I'm running out of adjectives. I took AP English. I really liked the river cruise. However, even though the tour guide said you have to like force your way to get a good seat, that's just not the kind of person I am, you know? I just let everybody go on first and then get on because I don't like struggles. But that means I usually get like a not great seat, and I sat next to some very smelly people. Very smelly. But that's besides the point. After we finished that little cruise, we headed back to our hotel, and then we passed by this little shop that sold fresh soy milk and little pastries like curry buns, fried Chinese donuts, and things like that. I love Asian soy milk. I don't know why American soy milk sucks so much. Maybe Asian soy milk has more sugar? I don't know how they process it, but it's so much better. The next morning, we walked around Little India because it was Diwali. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. It was really lovely to see all the colors and all the people shopping because it kind of reminds me of Lunar New Year. After that, we headed back to the food court. I had naengmyeon. That was really good naengmyeon. And also this thing called, I have no idea, but that was so good. After lunch, we headed to Gardens by the Bay, but this time we went into the Cloud Forest and the Flower Dome. And let me tell you, the Cloud Forest was freaking amazing. Like, I was awestruck when I walked in, because, okay, there's a lot of people, but then there's this giant waterfall, a wall that is just top to bottom covered in green. There were these cute little statues or different arrangements, and you could go to the top and then just work your way down to the bottom. I think that was probably one of my favorite parts of the trip because it was so cool. But I feel like that kind of set me up for a little bit of disappointment in the Flower Dome. I don't know if it was because it was nighttime and I was tired from everything else that we had done, but I just wasn't as impressed with the Flower Dome. So after that, we headed back to the Broadway Center, and this time I had some really bomb bún bò Huế. It was low-key better than the one I had in Vietnam. Whenever there's a food and you bring it to different regions, it's just not as good as the region it came from, you know? After that long day, we went to sleep, and then we had a late brunch the next day, and I had laksa for the first time. So it was a build your own bowl kind of thing. After that, we took public transit and headed to the Singapore Zoo. It reminded me a lot of the San Diego Zoo, where the enclosures were pretty open. It seems like they were having a good time. Except I'm like here and there about zoos because yes, they do help with a lot of research and taking care of animals that wouldn't do well out in the wild and of course live longer when they're in captivity. They like bring awareness and inspire kids to learn and want to do more for the world. But also you have these small enclosures and you can obviously see that the animals aren't comfortable and they're pacing back and forth. But that's another story. So I'm not really one for taking pictures or like getting pictures of me taken. I don't know why I hate it so much. But my brother told me to stand behind him at this pond in front of the river so that he could take a picture for my parents. At that point I was like, yeah, I guess I should take pictures so they can see that I exist and it's just not the world from my perspective. And so he told me to step around him, but there's this cement brick tile that I stepped on, and when I stepped on it, it was not supported by anything. So I went in and I dropped into the pond and it made such a freaking mess. The water was stagnant, so it was like one of the smelly ponds. There was mud that splashed all over my legs and went all the way up my thighs because I was wearing a dress. It got on my brother too. And I think what bummed me out the most is I haven't had, at that point, my Birkenstocks for very long, and they're fine now, but it's always a bummer when you ruin something that you just got, you know? I was too tired to be really angry, so whatever. At that point, the clouds started rolling in and we could start hearing thunder, and it took forever to find the entrance to the butterfly garden. We found it, but we rushed through so that we could get to the Newton Hawker Center. By the time we got there, we exited the wrong exit and we like had to walk this gigantic loop because there were no crosswalks. It was just like extreme thunder, lightning, rain. I don't know if it was worth it to be at the Hawker Center that Crazy Rich Asians was shot at, but it is what it is. I really wanted to try chili crab, but I had enough messes for the day. But we did get Pad Thai, Tom Yum Goong, silong baos, sea snails. We were well fed. So we headed back to the hotel, started packing up, and it was time to head back to Vietnam. Overall, I really liked that the food was cheap in Singapore. The city was super clean since there's a chewing gum man. I also liked that I could communicate with people because most everybody speaks English there. I did not like how humid it was. I mean, I sweat even when it's cold just because that's how my body is, and I hate it. It was just 10 times worse. And the freaking mosquito bites. I've been getting mosquito bites since June in Davis, and then when I went to Austin, what did I get? Mosquito bites. When I went to Hawaii, what did I get? Mosquito bites. Florida, mosquito bites. Vietnam, mosquito bites. Singapore, mosquito bites. So that's a good 6 months of getting mosquito bites. By the end of the Asia trip, I had at least 20 bites on each limb, and I'm not even kidding. And I would try to sleep with my covers like all the way to my neck so that I could still breathe and not get bitten. But then they bit me on my forehead. That's how that was. I guess that's where I'll leave you for now. Stay tuned because we have quite a few more trips to get through. But I will catch you on the flip side. Bye!